Still 3 FM Sunrise on 3 FM 92.7. We're getting into our big conversation for the morning. We've tabled two topics. We're looking at delving into the OSP's Half Year Report. And of course, if time will permit, we'll be looking at the fallouts from the Public Accounts Committee sitting. I've got in the studio at the moment Austin Kwabena Bracco Powers. He's a private legal practitioner. We will, of course, in due course, be joined by some others who will be lending their voice to the conversation. Austin, hello, good morning. How are we doing?
Good morning, Ellen. You are brightening.
Really?
What's the reason?
I've had a bit of time for some R&R, rest and relaxation.
Yeah, very important. Very important.
Duty calls, so we're back at post.
That's right.
Doing what we love.
Yeah.
Discussing Ghana's many issues.
We can feel this nation.
Yes, absolutely. It's always a pleasure to see you. I'm looking forward to your perspectives, especially on issues concerning the office of the special prosecutor. I'm not too sure if you've had a chance to look at the full report that has been published by the office of the special prosecutor, but we're looking at some key highlights. And then I want us to expand the conversation further. I'm sure you have been privy to some of the thoughts and opinions of many Ghanaians, some who say, well, they're not seeing too much action on the front of the OSP. They don't know the sort of direction the OSP is going in terms of the monies that we expend on the OSP and the results that we're getting, whether or not it's really fit for purpose. Hopefully by the end of the conversation, you two will have an opinion. You can speak to us on our socials. We're on Facebook, we're streaming on YouTube, on X as well. But if you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, we have some key investigative developments as far as specific cases are concerned, and some timelines as well for those cases so that we can situate the conversation. All right, and then we'll get into the report. These are some of the, shall I say, more prolific cases that many of you have been following, or at least are privy to some of the background of the case. So, Cecilia Dapaah, I know that name needs no introduction. We've been talking about that for some time now. What has happened in that regard? Let's check this out. July 2023. Now, the OSP, in collaboration with the FBI, investigated Cecilia Dapaah and associates for suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses, and concluded after 7 months that the case was largely in the province of money laundering and structuring. You'll recall this is the issue of some monies that were said to be at the residence of Madame Cecilia Dapaah. There were many different explanations preferred for where this money had come from. Some of you described it as very murky waters, but investigations were commenced. Fast forward January 2024, the OSP referred the case to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to commence investigation into money laundering and structuring. All right. When we can move that along, we'll give you the rest of the timeline. Technology being a bit of a pain this morning, but we'll bring that timeline to you. We'll pause it here on this particular one because we know that there have been some updates, and the OSP has also been seeking to make some corrections to that. Okay, let's go to May 2025. Of course, we know that there's been new leadership at EOCO, and they have now requested for the dockets from the OSP, and same was referred to EOCO. If I take you back in time, the issue had been that when the case had previously been referred to EOCO by the OSP under different leadership, that's in 2024, EOCO found let's summarize and say no issue at that time. This has now been referred to new management, and things have changed. The FBI, having waded into the conversation, also seemingly suggesting that they have found no issues of corruption in the Cecilia Dapaah case. Okay, now we're jumping to another issue. Let's stay with Cecilia Dapaah, and then we'll move on because I think my screen is jumping. All right, one at a time. Austin, your views.
Helen.
Cecilia Dapaah, would you agree that it's been murky waters?
Helen, I think, let me be point blank. The OSP has been more effective in the forefront of our anti-corruption campaign than even the Attorney General in the first half of the year.
Of this year?
Yes. First half of 2025. The OSP has been, because I've had the opportunity to read through the entire report.
Okay.
The half-year report, which same had been published on their website. And I was surprised at the kind of the tons of work that the OSP has done within the space of 6 months. And I can, like I said, the OSP has been effective at discouraging corruption, public corruption, than the Attorney General for the half of this year.
How do you measure that?
So you look at the work the person has done, the prosecutions, the amount the office has been able to retrieve. And the thing is that when you look at it, so far they have almost close to 8 running prosecutions. 8 running prosecutions. They've been able to, in some instances, retrieve monies because some accused persons have admitted to the offenses and agreed to compensate the state in lieu of jail term or jail time. So looking at the effectiveness, and you see, mind you, the OSP doesn't communicate every investigation that they are running. Unlike the Attorney General who will come to the public and tell the public, we are doing this, we are doing. The OSP will do the underground investigations, and when they are convinced that the issues at hand raise issues of maybe corruption or corruption-related offenses, then they will swing into action. So looking at the work they have done, the investigations, the prosecutions that are running, and the monies they've been able to retrieve, I can tell you that the OSP has been effective at discouraging corruption than the Office of the Attorney General. Now let's zoom into Cecilia Dapaah. I think it's clear when the OSP was moving about, trying to running from one court to the other, trying to freeze the account of Cecilia Dapaah. It was clear the OSP has no jurisdiction when it comes to money laundering.
Right.
But they wanted to see if they could uncover some act of corruption or corruption-related offenses. And reading the report, I was glad they were unable to, because it was patently clear from the start or from the word go that the OSP, this is a no-no zone for you. Because when you look at the OSP Act, the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act,
right,
2017, Act 959, you realize that particularly Section 3, it lists the functions of the OSP, and money laundering is not part of it.
Right.
And that falls within the determination of IOCO, per the Economic and Organized Crime Office Act 2010, Act 804. So it falls within the determination. So it was clear. But you remember the OSP, the current OSP is complaining that when they referred the matter to the previous IOCO leadership, they decided not to continue with the matter because they claimed that there wasn't any predicate offense. So when we talk about predicate offense, we are talking about an offense that is connected to a more serious offense. So particularly with money laundering is a serious offense. So the IOCO leadership then was saying that they wanted maybe one particular crime connected to the money laundering. Then in that case, they will be able to.
Is that legally correct?
I think because the thing is that per the investigative reports they read from OSP, they didn't find any predicate offense. But I think that on the surface, that was just a way of dismissing the action. But if they had also conducted their independent investigation, I'm sure they may have discovered maybe predicate offense, which may be an offense connected to money laundering, by which reason they will have the jurisdiction to determine same. But because they didn't want to, interfere in that investigative piece or investigation, they decided not to handle it. I think the OSP has done a good job with the issue of, and Helen, I've also read many news reports. I think they didn't capture the right message, because when it comes to Cecilia Dapaah, the OSP was saying that we didn't find our office, the OSP's office, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that's FBI, did not find any corruption-related offense or corruption acts of corruption perpetrated by Cecilia Dapaah. But there's a suspected case of money laundering and structuring. So you see, structuring is normally connected to money laundering. So when we talk construction, we are talking about a means by which some suspects who engage in money laundering will divide the money into pieces, into smaller denomination units, to evade detection and again reporting. So instead of maybe 3 billion cedis, they will divide it into some maybe in different currencies. So you will not suspect that this is an act of money laundering. And also for them, it saves them from reporting for the government or whoever, the law enforcement agencies, to detect that this is an act of money laundering. So,
which sounds consistent with what had happened in the Cecilia Dapaah case. It's alleged that there were different currencies that were found, some euros, some dollars, maybe some pounds, which sounds like it could be in tandem with what you are describing here, allegedly.
Yes, that is one of the bases upon which the OSP is claiming that suspected case of structuring and money laundering. You know, like I said, because if the money had been in maybe in a particular denomination, one particular denomination, then that gives you stricto sensu an act of money laundering. But when sometimes the suspects will want to hide it, those who engage in that, they want to hide it. You know, they are also smart. They always say that if you learn to catch them, they also learn to run away. So they try to divide the monies into different denominations, currencies, so that you will not be able to say that, oh, this is an act of money laundering. So I think the OSP on its part has done its work. It is now within the determination of the new leadership of IOCO to see if they will want to investigate and try to run away from the shadows of the previous leadership. Because the previous leadership did not want to meddle in the whole issue. They claim they returned the docket to the OSP, saying that they are not ready to go into that because they believe that per their own preliminary investigation, it is not worthy of their time. If the current leadership deeming the OSP work as properly done and they want to go into that, I think they are within their right per their own act to investigate the money laundering and structuring, so long as they may not also claim that they are looking for a predicate offense, an offense connected to this serious offense. So I think the OSP Half Year Report has been a good. They've done well, yes, and they deserve a special commendation, really, particularly because they've been vilified and even, you know, talked against. People have said so many things about them, but I can tell you the OSP currently has been effective. Looking at their reports and the amount of work they have done compared to what our own Attorney General has done, I think they deserve a special commendation. Right.
Now, in terms of the OSP's work, from where you sit with your legal expertise, what sort of legal challenges would you say the OSP has had to counter in performing its duties?
Is it, Ellen, one of, the OSP has been given a portion of the Attorney General's prosecutorial powers. So they have the prosecutorial powers of the Attorney General, because when you look at even the act establishing the OSP, it gives recognition to the fact that the OSP is taking part of the Attorney General's power. One of the things they need to do is to collaborate with like-minded or allied institutions in order to investigate certain acts of corruption or corruption-related offenses. Often than not, the cooperation will not come because the OSP has some seemingly independent. It has some seemingly independent. It is able to act independent of the Attorney General. The OSP acts independent of the Attorney General, unlike the police and some other institutions. Because even IOCO cannot prosecute without the Attorney General sanctioning. So often than not, the problem had been the collaboration and cooperation of allied institutions, particularly when it comes to politics. Because and also the issue becomes murkier when the person involved is either politically connected person or a person who has political interest in the country. It becomes murkier because now then they will build a shield between the OSP and the allied institutions. So OSP may not be able to get the cooperation as they.
So it's safe to say we can't extricate the issue of politics when we talk about the OSP.
Helen, we have succeeded in politicizing everything, and that is one of the problems as a nation we need to work on or fend off. We've succeeded in politicizing everything. When people fall foul of the law and the law must act to sanction them, politics rises to the occasion, politics steps in. Then they prevent the law enforcement agencies to act. Mind you, the police is not an independent institution. The police works. The police work for and on behalf of Ghanaians, but they are the direction of the government. They are the direction of the government. The police service is under the direction of the government. So whatever they do, usually they receive clear political case or clear incidents that you would expect. Ordinarily, you would expect the police to act, but the police will be lethargic in acting because of the interest, political interest. Sometimes they may even receive calls, do not intervene in this.
It's an order from above.
Exactly, order from above. So we succeeded, and the thing is that is one of the problems we have to work on as a nation, because there have been so many incidents, even in the past, during the regime of Akufo-Addo, where you could see that these incidents are clear cases for the police to act, but the police were unable to act because of what? Politics. Sometimes they also read the politics in the room. You see, and they are human beings. Sometimes they are also protecting their jobs. They don't want to act beyond the bounds of those their paymasters. So it's one of the lack of cooperation on the part of other allied institutions to help the OSP to do its work. And also sometimes also the public perception. Well, in the public perception that the OSP is victimizing people, it's one of the things that is also affecting the OSP's work. Because now, if the OSP is acting, they may either receive calls from chiefs and pastors and other people, don't touch this person, don't touch. You know how our society is structured.
That's right.
We are too communal. So whenever things happen, instead of allowing the law to work, we often invoke our relations, our friends, pastors, chiefs, to come and speak to people who are supposed to act independently. Then tomorrow we will turn around and say these people are not acting as expected because of what? Because we are those not giving them the opportunity to work. So, and apart from that, apart from the lack of cooperation and the needless interference in the OSP's work by reason of the communal nature of our society. Right. The bit has also to a portion of the blame should also be given to the OSP. The OSP has been at a point too defensive.
Too defensive. But they've come under such pressure. I mean, as an institution that, takes a big chunk of taxpayers' money, you would expect that if they are coming under such fire, they too will want to defend the work that they do. I mean, to a degree, I can see where you're coming from. If you go on social media, in fact, now I see the official X handle of the OSP responding to individual critiques. So somebody can just wake up at Kofi Menu, say something about the OSP, and the OSP is quick to hit back. I mean, do you think that's not in the right vein?
No. The OSP is being too defensive. You see, Evelyn, that they are working for and on behalf of Ghanaians. And like you were articulated, they are being fed and resourced by taxpayers' money. So they are supposed to accommodate criticism, because that's how we want to. And the thing is that this is the first time we have an OSP, an office of the special prosecutor, which is working. So often than not, you should expect backlash from the people, and the people expect more from you, particularly when you are being given resources. You have resources to work. Don't have to be doing more of the politics, because the defensive part is because the OSP has been doing more of the politics, particularly when you say we don't use bail as a punitive measure, yet you detain somebody and tell the person, come with
landed property.
Come with your own landed property. This is serious. Come with your own landed property. A court of competent jurisdiction, you will not do this.
Maybe the OSP had some other motives for that, and you say that's problematic.
No, because you see, when it comes to bail terms or granting bail, the law is clear that you don't have to use bail as a punitive measure. Don't use bail to punish the person, because you see, constitutionally, the person is innocent until proven guilty. So when you use bail as a punitive measure, it means that you've already concluded. Give the person opportunity, because what is the essence of bail? Well, in the essence is to make sure that the person will appear when you need a person, either appear in court or appear at a specific place which you will designate. But when you use that and you say that we have given you bail, but you're unable to discharge the bail by reason of the fact that you claim you don't have a landed property, then you are the person, or let me say, you have decided not to go, because we have given you bail terms and you have the opportunity to go or walk free, but you've been able to discharge your bail term. So by reason of that, you cannot go scot-free. I mean, who is making this argument? And Yoko too has been doing the same. They slap punitive bail terms on you and they say, we have given you bail. And we have discharged our responsibilities under the law. We've given you bail, but you're unable to discharge it. By reason of that, you have decided not to go as we have granted you the opportunity. And I have always said that the minute you impose a bail terms on someone, a suspect, and the suspect is unable to discharge it, that means that you, the office or the law enforcement agency, you are unwilling to discharge the person. Because if you impose a harsher bail terms on the person decides not, the person is unable to discharge it, would you allow the person to go? You won't.
Right.
So by reason of that, take the person to court and let the court determine the fate of the person. But they often are not will detain you unnecessarily, needlessly, beyond the 48-hour rule. And that creates a lot of problems, particularly when the court has been so clear on this that 48 hours means 48 hours and not a minute or a second beyond. But that's a lawlessness we have signed on to.
A very interesting point there, Austin. Hold that thought for me. Let me also connect with Edem Senanu. He's an anti-corruption campaigner. Mr. Senanu, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us on the program.
And thank you for having me.
I want to start off by asking, how do you rate the OSP's effectiveness in exposing and prosecuting corruption since its inception?
Well, I don't know about rating. Quite often, when the baseline is not clear, it's not a very practical thing to say you want to rate. But what I can say is that since last year, and I think it was in the last quarter of 2023, that they got a fairly substantive complement of their staff. I think 2024, 2025 have been their best years. The half-year report shows that they took 8 cases to court. They won 7. 1, they are going to appeal. And quite a number of people have pushed them to plea bargain, returning resources that they have fraudulently taken. I see a lot of substantive progress. I'll probably give them a 7.
A 7 out of 10?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. You talk about...
And that's based on the recent context.
Okay. A 7 out of 10. That's quite a high score. Now, you talk about...
Yes. The terrain is a very difficult one. In crafting Act 959, our major concern was that high-profile members of government engaged in corrupt acts were not being held accountable. Now, you're putting an agency to say the government of the day that has the influence and power and other officials who have gained influence must be held accountable. It's a difficult space. And so when you see the kind of gains they have made, I think it is creditable.
Now, what would you say then has been the greatest weakness in the OSP's anti-corruption strategy?
I think in the early years, we hadn't fully set up the institution, and yet we're expecting results. So over the 5-6 year period, the first 3-4 years, really nothing happened. The first time I paid a visit, because as CSOs, we wanted to understand the challenges, there were only 3 staff. Those were in the days of Martin Amidu. And then subsequently, for the first 2-3 years, there were less than 15 staff. And often on one case, you may need several people, maybe 4 or 5 people on just trying to get one case unraveled. So for those of us who've been engaging and trying to understand the challenges, in those early years, many of the court cases suffered from the adequate logistics of human resource and investigation. And so we're not doing too well with the cases. But since 2024, we see that things are picking up. So the weakness has been in terms of prosecution, but in terms of setting the precedent that cases if they were even high profile, were not going to be proscribed, or we leave some individuals out. I think they've set a good precedent by showing that they are not afraid of any individual, irrespective of what role you played in government.
Now, I want to talk briefly about whistleblowing. Would you say that enough has been done to encourage whistleblowing? If not, what more do you think needs to be done?
No, I think that our whistleblower regime needs retooling. The Afrobarometer report, I believe it was 2022, the data showed that about 35% of Ghanaians said they would not report cases, they would not whistleblow for two reasons. The first being that they expected a backlash, that the persons who they report on have the capacity to somehow do some kind of retribution. And then secondly, they did not expect anything to change. Now, 30% plus is extremely substantive. And so what it meant was that, and the backlash, let me explain. We had
Right.
a number of instances where the persons who reported things, their identities were disclosed to the specific targets of the report. And so that meant they were exposed. What it means is that our mechanisms do not protect the identities of such persons. And so we need to resolve that. How do we ensure that the personal details of those who whistleblow can be kept secret? And then beyond that, we need to show that as many times as people whistleblow, we are getting some results. And that will embolden the citizen.
Certainly. Now, Mr. Senanu, with some 67 cases under full investigation, would you say that you're satisfied with the level of action and urgency from the OSP? I know you gave a rating of some 70% to the OSP, but in terms of urgency, I know a lot of Ghanaians are asking about timelines, they're looking for speed. Are you satisfied with that element of the OSP's work?
I think that that's an erroneous tool or indicator to use. Any anti-corruption activist will tell you that we say prevention is much more important than prosecution. So first of all, the agency needs to demonstrate that they will take up any case and they are not afraid right to the highest levels of government. But when it comes to investigation, because of the rights of persons, we would rather you do a quality job by spending time to get all the facts and details and ensure that we can have a fair conclusion in terms of the judicial process. So the idea of speed in this sector is not one of those that we would easily just say this is the way to go.
Right.
I think what is important is that these cases are properly investigated. They have the hard facts, and then if you are going to prosecute, we're sure. But prosecution is not the number one area that an anti-corruption person focuses on. Prevention is much more important. You spend less money, you can still, like in this case, if you look at the half-year report, several individuals have voluntarily gone to the OSP to say, we know we are culpable, we want to return the funds.
That's right.
We will do a plea bargain. And that is the way to go.
Would you say then that civil society groups are effectively supporting or challenging the OSP's mandate from where you sit?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by challenging the mandate. Which areas of the mandate are we speaking about? Or are you saying in terms of their operations?
In terms of their operations in general.
Okay. Well, I guess that between civil society, citizens, media, a lot of questions have always been thrown at the OSP. And sometimes some of us feel that some of the bombardment is unfair. I've been listening to media on this half-year report, and people don't seem to be focusing on the statistics of the improvement in the prosecution or the statistics in the monies being returned by individuals. So sometimes I feel like our interrogation, civil society and media, is slanted and narrow, and there's not an in-depth analysis of the information being provided and the scope of things they are doing. So most of media is focusing on Cecilia Dapaah when there's much more in that report. So I think we can do better.
Certainly. Mr. Senanu, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for lending your voice to the conversation. I'm sure we'll have another opportunity to talk more about the OSP as we examine this half-year report.
Thank you for having me.
Again, Edem Senanu is an anti-corruption campaigner.
It boils down to human nature. You do not expect humans to act like angels and to act like God. So what I regret is the actions of individuals directed at the office and at my person. That is what I regret. But I do not regret taking this position because I see it as a sacrifice to make this country better. We are in a much better state now than we were before I took this position 4 years ago. Now people know that there's accountability. If now the name OSP sends shivers down spines. And it's not because we are high-handed, but people see that we are fair, and we are fair in what we do. But rounding up on that, you preface your remarks by saying, "Give us our poll." I'm not going to answer directly your poll, but I'm going to.
That is obliged.
I don't know. I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to say something little in respect of bail. You see, in this institution, and as required by law, we do not use bail to punish individuals. No. Indeed, when we go to court, when we charge people when we go to court, we don't oppose bail. Other prosecutions, have we ever opposed bail? Last week, Wednesday, I did an agreement in respect of the MPA matter. When he got to bail, I just got up and told her ladyship that we are not opposed to bail, so we are leaving it in the
FM 92.7.
And that's the special prosecutor, Cecilia, being in a rebuttal there to Austin. He says we don't use bail as punishment. Austin, I'll come back to you and we can talk some more about that. But let me also say good morning and a very warm welcome to Mr. Philip Longden. He's a member Movement for Change. Mr. Longden, hello, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for honoring the invitation. Hope you're doing well this morning.
Oh, by His grace, I'm doing okay.
Fantastic. I'll come to you in a second. We're still exploring this report by the OSP and expanding the conversation about the effectiveness of the OSP. So, Austin, that was in a presser. The special prosecutor speaking with some journalists there, what you were just discussing, exactly. And he's adamant that, we're fair. He says we're fair and we are firm.
No, but if you listen to him carefully, he said when we go to court, we don't oppose the bail application moved by let's say the suspect. I think that in itself does not mean that you are using or you are not using bail as a punitive measure, particularly when you impose harsher bail terms. That is you using bail to punish the suspect. But when you go to court and refuse to oppose or you do not oppose bail applications, that has no bearing on whether or not you are using bail as a punitive measure or not. I think the OSP may be missing the two. Right. The thing is that you have a discretionary power to grant bail to a suspect. If in granting the bail, you impose harsher terms, that is you using bail to punish the suspect. But when you go to court and you refuse to oppose a bail application, that is a different argument altogether. So let's not mix the two. It doesn't augur well for the debate. The OSP, as I insist, has been using bail as a punitive measure and must reconcile or have a change in mind, because the thing is that the law itself is clear that don't use bail as a punitive measure. Because particularly, like I said, the constitutional injunction is that a person is innocent until proven guilty.
That's right.
So just impose a bail term that will secure the presence of the person, but not to punish the person. And that is what we should be we should be urging on the OSP to be doing and stop the defenses.
You say that would be a weakness for you because you also had some good ratings, much like Edem Senanu did for the OSP, but that would be
yes, I think it's one of it. And like you said earlier, when I monitored one of OSP's posts, I think on Facebook, and the way they were responding to
sort of individual
some Facebook users and the words they were using. Because this is an office.
That's right.
You must, whenever your communication must be decorous. I mean, whatever you don't have to be attacking users, Facebook users, or Ghanaians, ordinary Ghanaians who they are seeking clarification. And the thing is that they should understand that not everybody understands their language, and you don't expect everybody to ask questions to your expectation. People have diverse issues that they want to ask questions on. So allow them when they ask. But in your approach, in responding to their questions, let's be courteous. But the way they respond, some of them, the way they respond to questions of Facebook users or question posed by Facebook users, it's
taken on a bit of a combative nature.
Very, very combative. Because when you do that, you won't win the fight. Because the thing is that you need the support you need to rally consensus. And Ghanaians are those who will tell you, this is what we need. But if you are being combative, the very people who are supposed to be fighting for you, be speaking for you, be defending you, and be saying that indeed you are doing your work, you are attacking them, how then do you expect them to protect you? It becomes a different ballgame altogether.
Certainly. Now, if you're watching us also on Facebook or on YouTube, we have some key highlights there. We've got the OSP Half Year Report, OSP Ongoing Investigations. You've got 8 prosecutions, 67 full investigations, some 152 preliminary investigations, 7 convictions, and some 23 persons standing trial. That's some information there for all of us. Mr. Longden, will the Movement for Change scrap the OSP? Or is it a very important office that you would be looking to protect when you come into power?
Well, thank you very much. It's a very important office that we'll be looking to protect. It's an office that was something that had a very heavy public craving for at the time it was set up. So yes, it was a campaign promised by the previous government. That's how it started. And then it was established. And we are where we are today. And our position is that the Office of Special Prosecutor is doing a very important job and must be maintained. In fact, I don't have our book with me right now, but we actually have plans of how to strengthen, because there are some lapses between the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Office of the Attorney General. So those gray areas were areas that we're looking to see more clarity and distinction to give the Office of Special Prosecutor the freedom and free hand and the legislative authority, to be able to do his job effectively. So that is what it is. Now, reviewing the Special Prosecutor's report, one would really normally have wanted to compare it to the last report he presented and compare the statistics he has given. That would have been the proper basis to have this conversation. Unfortunately, I didn't have that. I didn't have this information earlier, so I don't really have it.
Right.
But I think all told, the Special Prosecutor appears to be doing much better now than before. In the previous Special Prosecutor, I think the challenge, and of course the various excuses that came up, was that Ghanaians didn't see any work being done. Then there was a new occupant of that office in the person of Mr.
Cecilia
Dapaah. And he too did his own lamentations about his problems that he had. But that, notwithstanding all that, we've seen that he's making some progress.
Mr. Longman, that sounds like a critique of the Special Prosecutor. I want to expand on that. I recall, was it last year that he held that press conference? He called himself Ankwanoma. He said that he was up against some major challenges. Do you think that was something he should have kept to himself?
Well, the Special Prosecutor is human. I think he was venting frustration. And I think... we all know that he came into that office with a lot of expectation, There's a lot of expectation from the people of Ghana. He believed he had the political support to enable him to do his job. Then it's from that press conference he gave, especially when Ghanaians were beginning to feel very disappointed in the performance of his duties, that being caught in that situation, the expectations of Ghanaians and how Ghanaians were seeing his work that was going on at the time, he thought he should just do that press conference to let Ghanaians know that there were other things happening that, So, yes, it has happened. He's done it. We've gone beyond that. And now, Ghanaians are just expecting results from him. Ghanaians are not going to expect any more lamentations, any more excuses. So Ghanaians are looking forward to results. He gave, like I said, he gave a report the last time. He's given another one this time. At least that in itself is good, because he's being responsive to the expectations of Ghanaians, to show Ghanaians how he's doing his job and how far he's going. So I think that is good. Now, the other criticism his office has had, like I heard my good brother saying, was how the accusation of weaponizing bail conditions.
Right.
Yes, that accusation has been made, and I think it's for the office of the special prosecutor to take on board. What I would expect the special prosecutor to do is to explain as best as he can why he does that. I would expect that if somebody is in court on a case involving a certain amount of money, running to several millions, the bail conditions must reflect that situation. Others might look at it and say those bail conditions are unreasonable.
Right.
But I think it is necessary for people to look at the charge to which that individual is facing to start with. That will always be the basis of a bail. So it is when that analysis is done that we can then reasonably agree or disagree as to whether the special prosecutor is being fair or professional, or whether he's weaponizing bail conditions or I'm just playing politics by saying he does not oppose. But we expect the special prosecutor to deliver. You spoke about the press conference. Yes. Well, a lot of people were very unhappy with him having come out to make a press conference. We don't expect that from the office of special prosecutor. But it did happen. And now the other complaints about how he's responding to, or his office. I don't know whether it's he himself or officials of his office. I
suspect there is somebody that's dedicated to the social media accounts that's responding to various accounts. I follow on X and also on Facebook.
Then there's something that the special prosecutor must be alive to. Because that office, you need somebody with a certain level of maturity to manage the conversation. Yes. Because there'll be people who will be unhappy with what you do. There'll be people who will be happy with what you do. There'll be people who have a lot more expectations. People have. Do
you think there's no space for that level of defensiveness? I can imagine that the amount of heat that is being thrown in the direction of the OSP is what is encouraging this sort of combative language. Does the OSP not have the right to defend the office? Because day in and day out, Ghanaians are questioning why so much money is being expended on the office. Some of the language not very palatable, not savory at all. Do we say that there's really no space for the office to respond in that manner? Do you always have to be measured, or always have to be the bigger person?
Well, first of all, the office of special prosecutor, this communicator who's communicating, my understanding is that he's communicating in the name of the office.
Indeed.
Not for himself.
Indeed.
Or for the special prosecutor himself, but in the name of the office. So it's a corporate communication. It's not personal. Now, corporate communication, there is a standard that it must follow. You cannot control the kind of
that comes to you.
What comes to you, but you have a responsibility to what goes out from you. So, yes, no matter how heated, how insulting, abusive, uninformed, any inquiry might come to you, or any response, or any comment, or any accusation, or any inquiry may come, it is for the office of the special prosecutor to respond being able to measure where that person is coming from and appreciate how they must respond to the person. First, to disabuse the person's mind of any suspicions they may have. Educate the person's mind of any misconceptions that may be fueling their thoughts. And it could also be an avenue, and it is offered an avenue, for the office to get a feedback of how it is perceived. Because you might have the best intentions. By the end of the day, it is how those intentions are perceived by the recipients of those intentions. I want to do the best thing for you, but in doing so, I go about it in a manner that is offensive to you, unacceptable to you. I can't say I'm doing the right thing. No, at the end of the day, the recipient is seeing it this way. Even if you don't agree with how the recipient feels, it should be at least something that you should take in to appreciate that this is how the other person also sees what I'm doing.
Right.
So you factor it in. So I think, as for that one, it's something that the Office of Special Prosecutor must take another look at, because it will be, from what I've heard and what I'm hearing, it is below the communication of such an office.
Certainly. Now, there's something that I do want us to take a look at, gentlemen, and if we can project that on the screen. This has to do with Ken Ofori-Atta, former finance minister. It's been a bit of a tangle between the former finance minister and the office of the special prosecutor. Now, what are some of the key issues that are under investigations? You've got the Petroleum and Minerals Revenue Assurance. You've got EC Electricity Company contract termination. The National Cathedral project, it's a big one. It's a major one. We've had some updated figures on what the cost has been so far. It went from some $58 million. Now we're told in the region of $97 million have been expended on that particular project. The ambulance procurement saga, I think many of you recall that, and the GRA tax P fund management, a plethora of issues for which the OSP says former finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta must come home to answer. Let's talk about some of these allegations. So, Ken Ofori-Atta is alleged to have directly influenced the procurement to obtain unfair advantage to SML in revenue assurance in the downstream petroleum sector, upstream petroleum production, and minerals and metals resources value chain. You'll also recall the saga of SML. It's still very much ongoing. Okay, we also talk about issues concerning the National Cathedral. What are we being told here? Again, Ken Ofori-Atta alleged to have been directly influencing the procurement to obtain unfair advantage in contractors and materials for the National Cathedral project of Ghana and unlawfully approving payments for such contractors. There was a lot of conversation about where those monies actually came from, Consolidated Fund, etc. Also, we're told that Ken Ofori-Atta is alleged to have unlawfully padded approved payments in respect of the termination of a distribution, loss reduction and associated network improvement project between the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited and Beijing, how do we say this one? Xiao Cheng Technology, BXC. Fellow Chinese, forgive me. And then we also have another allegation here. Ken Ofori-Atta is said to have unlawfully approved payments out of the tax refund account of the Ghana Revenue Authority. And finally, we also have there an allegation of unlawfully approving payments in contracts awarded to Service Ghana Auto Group Limited for purchases and after-sales service and maintenance of some 307 ambulances for the National Ambulance Service of Ghana. So that's a bit more detail there into these allegations. Austin, I want to come to you. This issue of Ken Ofori-Atta versus the OSP, it took up some space in that half-year report. I think we started off with that because many of us want to know what exactly has happened so far and where we are. There is, I'm sure when you test the pulse, this eagerness of many Ghanaians to see Ken Ofori-Atta come back and answer some of these questions. With the handling of this particular case, how do you rate the office of the special prosecutor?
Yes, Helen, these are serious allegations. The allegations being leveled against the former finance minister, these are serious allegations.
That's
and
right.
We are all hoping, like you said, Ghanaians are expectant. We are hoping that there will be an end to this issue. Particularly, we want to see the finance minister arriving in the country and facing the OSP. And we also want to see...
You don't want to see him on online. You don't want to see him on Zoom.
No, because, the OSP has maintained that it doesn't want to obtain the caution statement of the finance minister, the ex-finance minister, via Zoom or electronically. They want to have a face-to-face conversation, because by reason of practice usually caution statement, you take it in the presence of the person. And that's what the OSP is maintaining that they want to do. But by and large, I think the lawyers of the ex-minister the lawyers have also not been, they've also not been alive to their duties, particularly their communication with the OSP. Because you could see that one party is not being clear to the other party. Because if you agreed on timelines with the OSP and then you keep on changing the position every now and then, what does it mean? It means that you are not being clear to the other party, or you are not being open to the other party. I would say that the OSP has been eager to see an end to, or bring finality to this matter. But for the absence of the ex-finance minister, they are unable to make progress. And I was expecting, Ellen, that in the half-year report, the OSP would tell us that by invoking they have told they are liaising with the Attorney General to extradite the ex-finance minister.
What all those processes have begun, or? No,
so the OSP was supposed to have told us in the report that this is where we have, this is what we did, this is where we are. But they gave us the stories that you and I are aware of, the stories that are already in the media.
Right.
That Ken promised to come today or this month, it didn't show up. These are stories Ghanaians are aware. It's good that they also breathe those stories, or they tell us in their report. But we also want to see what has happened so far. Since you initiated the process to extradite the finance minister, what is the progress? Where are we? At the law enforcement agencies, or let me say the administrative regime, is the administrative regime in the US willing already, wherever the ex-minister may be? Because at one point they said he is in the United States, at another point he went to UK for A and B. We don't know where they are, but the OSP has to brief us on where we are when it comes to the extradition, so that we will know whether we have made progress or not. Mind you, we are spending resources in getting to the bottom of this. And if we don't have him, are we going to either try him in absentia, or what are we going to do? I think the OSP was not clear on this, but these are serious allegations that you will need the individual to be present to defend or answer certain questions. But in the absence of the person, you also try to do a few things. If you cannot secure the answers or response, if you cannot elicit responses from the suspect, then you may have to move beyond the where you are, and now find out if you want to go to court and try him in absentia. The OSP must make progress, because you can't keep this forever in your books. This is something that we must just bring finality, bring a closure to it, so that we can make progress as a nation. So it's a serious offense. I'm expecting the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta to cooperate with the OSP.
Would they at this time, from your legal expertise, they will be fighting extradition processes on behalf of Ken Ofori-Atta, I'm sure?
Yes, they will. They will, because the thing is that with when it comes to extradition processes, the suspect has a right. There are principles, and one of the principles is that you must not seek to extradite somebody for political prosecution.
In fact, I was going to ask, is that something you suspect would be a key, a reason, put forth by the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta? Some political persecution happening at home?
When it comes to legal matters, every arsenal at your disposal, you must hold on to that. And that is one of it. Because the thing is that he might want to raise the defense of the fact that he's being extradited to Ghana for to be prosecuted politically, political trial. It's one of the principles, and it's against the international convention that you can't extradite somebody for political trial. So he has a right. His lawyers may have to also defend it and prevent the extradition. This may be it will take a while. It's a process. So the court, the U.S. court, must also be convinced that yes, this is not a political trial. This is something different. It has to do with clear and it's politically neutral offense. So by which reason we think that Ken should be sent to or should be handed over to the Ghanaian authorities. The U.S. judges or the U.S. leadership, the judicial authorities will also have to be convinced by the Ghanaian leadership that Ken is being wanted not for political trial but for something different altogether. A politically neutral offense, which the law is blind irrespective of your political affiliation. So they may want to fight, and I think, like I said, they have to do their best because, Ellen, if you employ a lawyer to defend you, the lawyer will have to do everything humanly possible.
Absolutely.
Yes. Even if the lawyer has to frustrate the government, the lawyer has to do that because that's where he's getting his pay from. Do you understand? So I think the lawyers are doing their bit. But my worry is that let's have an open conversation, transparency. You are dealing with OSP. The OSP is a human being, as Mr. London noted. He's a human being. The OSP may have crossed certain borders or borderlines, but you should also be decorous, open to the OSP. Tell the OSP if your client is unwilling to come. Tell the OSP my client will not come. If you go ahead. No, that is it. Be point blank to the OSP, but. With this dilly-dally, hanky-panky, hide and seek. When we were growing up, hide and seek, you will go and hide behind a tree, then you tell the person, go and discover where I am, or just identify where I am, or sometimes you go and hide behind. Certain things, hide and seek, it doesn't augur well. Let's be transparent. The thing is that we want our institutions to be effective.
That's right.
To work. To sanitize the system. And Mr. London well noted, the OSP has been effective at sanitizing the system when it comes to corruption-related activities, than, like I intimated earlier, than even the Office of the Attorney General. In
fact, that seems to be the running theme across all three guests this morning.
Exactly. Because, and I think when you put a poll on your social media handles, you see Ghanaians telling you that the OSP is more effective than the Attorney General.
I think that's something that we'll put up on
you should consider it
this morning because I'm intrigued to find out if you agree with Austin on that front. It's something I want to explore further. Mr. Longden, now this case concerning Ken Ofori-Atta, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, has put the OSP under a lot of heat. The critique has been that the Special Prosecutor hasn't been as effective. Ghanaians are, they're checking the clock. They say time is ticking. There's also been this idea that, that the former finance minister has been audacious in some of his demands. Well, I want to appear via online, portals and so on and so forth. How do you think the OSP has handled this particular case? It took up a lot of prominence in the report.
Yes, I think it's also because the public expectation of all the cases and activities of the Office Prosecutor, I don't think there's any that is more of public interest than the case to do with the former finance minister. I think there's been no doubt about it. Ghanaians are very looking to see some, serious work being done, to get the former finance minister to face scrutiny, to answer to some of these charges and allegations made against him, So there's a very high expectation. In the report, from what I have seen, it appears that to do with the former finance minister, the OSP has just tabulated all the issues that we know already.
Indeed.
So what Ghanaians want to know is that, so beyond that, what else? That is what we want to see in the report or want to hear from the Office of Special Prosecutor. And when the Office of Special Prosecutor does this, they should expect that the young people who don't know too much about how some of these systems operate will respond on social media to the Office of Special Prosecutor in a manner that the Special Prosecutor may not be happy about. It is to be expected. So the Special Prosecutor should have, in coming out with this report, given us details beyond the obvious, what we all know. Yes, you state all these facts, but then let us know that beyond this, what is the current situation? What efforts are being done by the government on Ghana on behalf of the Office of the Special Prosecutor to deal with the government of the United States to have him extradited? It happens. When courts in one country, tribunals in one country, investigative bodies in one country are trying to extradite an individual from another jurisdiction, it goes beyond just that institution. It goes through their governments. The government, it comes government to government communication. Then the government also sends it down to the appropriate,
Yes.
Then it's done. These are the kind of things Ghanaians want to hear. And it is these things that will give the Ghanaians confidence that indeed you are working on this matter. But if you come and just give us some of these things, I think the OSP's communication is a bit, needs a bit more tweaking.
You mean just online or
no,
press
communication
conference in general?
Even this report he presented, it's communication. It's communication. He must tweak it a bit. He must fill. There are some gaps that are still out there. And look, at the end of the day, yes, a lot of emphasis is on especially on the former finance minister.
Yeah.
But the others, who the people are expecting to hear. There may be other investigations going on that may not have gone any far, haven't gone too far. The Special Prosecutor will need to just update Ghanaians in his report that yes, we've initiated processes here, there, and the other. That would give a bit more confidence. But I think the report in the way it has been presented does not quite address the expectations. In the past, we're not getting any half-yearly reports.
That's right.
So we have moved forward, and it is a commendable fact that we have gotten here, and but it still does not mean that if we recognize certain lapses or certain gaps, we shouldn't state. Because at the end of the day, we want him to be effective, we want him to be able to do his job well. So at the end of the day, the expectation of Ghanaians would have been, met. But if you are doing your job in a way that the people do not feel that their expectations are being met, then it becomes something else. So I think that the Special Prosecutor we commend him for coming up with this report, but in terms of the former finance minister, I think that he needs to do a bit more to assure people that he's really doing something, because we've seen it happen in other jurisdictions where, for various reasons, some former government official or a businessman or whatever is sought extradition from another country. We've seen what happens. And people who have the assumption is that he still has access to a lot of funds, and people like that have all kinds of smart ways of evading. So it goes beyond the capacities of just the Office of Special Prosecutor, or you now have to fall on the government.
Would you say that is too far-fetched to say that how this matter is ultimately concluded, I'm talking about the Ofori-Atta saga, will either, I don't want to say make or break, but will be a very pivotal point in the OSP's history? Is this a make or break case?
Look, this case is so serious that, look, the way the mood in the country is, it goes beyond. People say they want to go and bring Ofori-Atta down themselves. It goes beyond the OSP himself. It's not just a matter of make or break of the OSP. No.
That's serious.
It will go beyond the OSP, the Attorney General. It will go up to the President himself. That is how bad the situation is. So it is important that the OSP, where he has his own challenges, make it clear, and then get the government to respond. Even if you are not seeking the assistance, let the government respond. Put it out clear, because, and you see, there are some indicators. When his lawyers were following the communication of his lawyers. I'm not a lawyer. But I could sense some frustration of his legal team through his own actions. You see, sometimes there are certain things that are not said. There's something but you can read through. You can read through. So the latest communications came from who? His wife.
That's right. She said we should give some 3 months. In fact, let me count down.
You know?
Yes.
His wife. It just shows you that is something. You see? It's gone beyond the legal. No. You see, and when that starts coming in, look, they are now appealing on sentiment. The sentiment against him. Like they're saying, some people want to actually go there and bring him down. We are accusing, or people are accusing people that they are chartering, the president charters a private plane. I can assure you that people who charter a private plane to go and bring him.
Now, for those of you watching on the stream, we see all the comments. I'm getting a few questions. Austin, I knew I was going to get this one. They're asking about trial in absentia, why that has not been explored by the OSP. Why do you think that is? And is that a process that is not effective enough? What's the sort of the hold up? That's the sentiment I see here on the stream.
No, the OSP has started the process. I think you must exhaust that process, and like we discussed, there's a process to extradite the ex-finance minister to the country. Like Mr. London hinted, usually it is between one government and another. So it will be a discussion between the Ghanaian government and the US or wherever he is based,
right.
The government over there. So usually it's done by the Attorney General on behalf of the country. So it's a process that the OSP is following on. So I think they have to exhaust it. If they are unable to secure his extradition, then they have to move to the next phase. So for now, since they've started the process, they must secure his presence in the country. Then we can move to the next phase. So this is not, they don't want to jump the gun. Let's allow, that's what I'm saying. If the OSP had told us where we are with regards to the extradition process, then we would have known where we've gotten to and what next step to take. But the OSP was quiet on that. And as Mr. London well articulated, that is one of the lapses in the report. Even though the report gives us an overview of the work the OSP has done within the space of 6 months, there are some lapses which the OSP must be up to task and plug those loopholes. The communication must be effective. It should not be one-sided. It should not be that I'm telling you what I need to tell you, but tell us what we have employed you to tell us, what we are paying you to tell us. So tell us, give us the full view. Someone will say, give us the full bouquet. You get it, the full bouquet of the issue. Because, like Mr. Leonard said, this is a major issue, or this is a major case that every Ghanaian is following. And like you were saying, whether it is make or break, this is not make or break. This is a break for everybody. This is a break for even the government.
Right.
Because if you want to fight corruption, and you have a high-profile ex-minister, a high-profile individual in the previous regime, who is facing some of these serious, grave allegations, and you're unable to make progress, that is bad. It's a very bad thing to say. And I just want to chip in when it comes to the issue of people volunteering information. Like you mentioned, the Whistleblowers Act.
Yes.
That act itself is flawed. There are a lot of lapses with the act. Because ordinarily, why would I come and report or snitch on your colleague and disclose my identity to you? The report says that you, the complainant, or you, the whistleblower, you must give your particulars to the reporting authority. Where lies anonymity?
Right.
How will somebody report? If I want to report somebody or snitch on somebody, would I disclose my identity to you?
Certainly.
If you tell me to disclose my identity, you are discouraging me. That is one of the things off-putting provisions in that act, the Whistleblowers Act. Because nobody will say, I'm coming to Mr. Linden, I'm coming to report Helen to Mr. Linden. Then Mr. Linden will say, okay, give me your full name, where you stay, your identity. Then where lies anonymity?
Where lies the protection?
The protection, because you see, the thing is that even when you look at Article 18 of the 19th Constitution, it gives you the right to privacy.
Indeed.
And the right to privacy, when you look at the Data Protection Act, you have the right not to disclose your identity. I can be online and refuse, and instead of using using Austin Brackopers, I can use Joke, the name Joke, pseudonym. I can use any name because I have a constitutional protection to be anonymous online, and I have that protection. But when you ask me to, you want to promote or you want to fight corruption, and you ask me to report, and you are taking my details, I won't do that. I won't do that. So that's one of the things with the whistleblowers, that nobody would activate or come walk to any institution and say, I'm reporting somebody. Then they will say, give us your full name. And if you don't give your full name, they won't take the complaints. That is a no-go area.
Well, wrapping up on this conversation, Mr. Longden, your final thoughts on this and also the way forward. You've had a chance to look at this half-year report. I'm sure you've heard a lot of the critique, and you're also looking to the future. What are you expecting to see for the next half of the year as far as the OSP is concerned?
Yeah, for the next half of the year, I wish to see closure on some of the cases that he's handling. I wish to see a report that is more detailed about some of the work that he's doing. I wish to see a better communication mechanism from the Office of the Special Prosecutor to the public in general, both social media and everything, because there's a very high expectation from that office, and we can't downplay that. And like you said about the make or break, I mean, that is it's a very real feeling out there, that it is one of the highest expectations, in spite of all the economic improvements people want to see in their lives and all that. If you check the general sentiment in this country, it is one of the highest. So it is the expectation is that as we proceed on the different reports that we will expect another about 7 more reports before the end of the term.
Indeed.
I hope to see that each report will be better than the other in terms of its content and its communication. I want to see the special prosecutor, even in his normal engagement of how the special prosecutor is going, Ghanaians will not have to wait till the report comes out before they get a sense that the Office of Special Prosecutor is actually working. So these would be my expectations.
Certainly.
For the next 6 months.
And also, same question to you as well. What are you looking forward to for the next 6 months as we, look to some of these cases?
Yes, Ellen, 3 things. So first, the OSP must streamline its work.
Must streamline its work.
Exactly. And be upfront with Ghanaians. Secondly, the Public Account Committee must also be given the opportunity to do its work, because they have a lot of work to do. I was watching some of the videos on your TV3's socials.
Yeah.
And it's disappointing that in 2023 we had cash irregularities to the tune of 5.7 million. But in 2024, it shot up to 4.6 billion.
Staggering.
Just cash irregularities.
Nearly 10 times.
Yes.
Hey, more than
Are we making progress as a country?
100 times.
From 5.7 million cash irregularities to 4.6 billion.
Nearly 100 times.
Yes. Some even were pegging it at 580 fold. That is disappointing. So we have a lot of work to do. If this is where we are going, and this is where we are as a country, Ellen, mind you, we have a lot of discussions to do on your airwaves.
A lot of